Good morning, everyone, or good evening, wherever you are. Thanks for being here in my new live stream. It's me, Ari Duffett, I'm Rashid. I'm your anthropologist and sociologist today, and I want to talk about two subjects: toilet gods or toilet deities and the history of Belgium. Now, you may think, Rashid, why don't we make two separate live streams, one about toilet deities and one about Belgium? Well, there's a connection between the two. And I hope at the end of this live you understand the connection and why I made this live stream. Oh, and by the way, shout out to everyone from Belgium watch this live stream. Bonjour, if you're from the Wallonia, and goedendag if you're from Flanders. Yeah, they speak two languages. They have two main languages in Belgium, French and Dutch. The Dutch that's spoken in Belgium is a bit softer, a bit more archaic than the French. I can fake the Belgian accent easily, but I'm not going to do that right now. I prefer, if I speak Dutch, I prefer to speak the common Dutch I grew up with, which is very rough and kind of sounds distant, but okay, that's the type of Dutch I grew up with. My name was right French. I can read French, but speaking French, I'm not really good at it right now. That may improve in the future. But anyway, thank you all for being here. If you're here, please let yourself be known in the live chat. Thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel and consider becoming a member. It's up to you. If you're not a member, please subscribe. Thank you very much. Okay. I have a question for you all. I always ask this question. Can you all hear me clearly? If you're here, please let me know. Can you hear me clearly? Thank you very much. Meanwhile, I'm going to check it with my mobile phone too. It will be great if you guys would respond. Let me know if you hear me clearly. Thank you very much. Oh, let me check my phone. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, you can all hear me. Okay, that's good. Praise the Lord. Good. Also sounds good on my mobile phone. Okay. I want to share my screen now with you. And well, if you have to it to be louder, you have to check your own sound settings then of your own browser. Because I just checked my mobile phone and the sound is clear. That's what matters. The sound is clear. All right. Okay, let me share my screen with you. Okay, here. Question to you all. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? Let me know, please. I want to make sure StreamYard is working well. You can read with me. Okay. Yes, okay. So let's read. Toilet god. A toilet god is a deity associated with latrines. Oh, by the way, this is a latrine over here. It's a public toilet. And toilets, which is what we today consider toilets like that. Okay. And belief in toilet gods as type of household deity has been known from both modern and ancient cultures, ranging from Japan to ancient Rome. Now, what is a household deity? Let me briefly explain to you. Pagans, they believe they need to charm their residents where they live. So they have certain spirits that they assign to their house. You may see one with a Buddha statue. Well, the Buddha statue is not classified as a household deity, but is often used as a household deity. You may go to a restaurant. For example, there is this beach club at in the Netherlands that has two giant Buddha statues on their property. That serves as a household deity. A household deity is an evil spirit you use to cover the finances and the physical safety of your house. Okay? So a lot in ancient times and also today, there are people assign evil spirits to the toilets. Yes, it happens. And let's further. Such deities have been associated with health, well-being, and fertility because of the associations with human waste and agriculture. Let me explain that. In nature, if you have cows or you have swine or whatever type of flock you have, the waste of those animals can be good for the soil, for growing your crops. And there's a belief that human waste has the same effect to make agriculture beneficial. Problem is, if the ancients believed that human waste would benefit agriculture, why didn't they just go around pooping on the farm then? Why did they build latrines? So this connection with human waste and agriculture, it may have a biological basis, but it's more occult one. Why? Because evil spirits. Okay, I think I need to use my whiteboard very soon to illustrate this, but evil spirits, they they generate this green waste on top of them as a result of them being banned from heaven. So this green waste, this demon excrement, is what evil spirits smear on top of your energy field or on top of a building, and that becomes the cover that hinders danger. So yes, if you're a pagan and use charms, you rely on demon excrement on top of your energy fields. So that's the connection between human waste and agriculture, because most rich folks in history were related to the agriculture, in the sense that they got their wealth from being successful farmers. So, I don't know. Do you want me to illustrate this on the whiteboard? Let me know, please. If I need to illustrate on the whiteboard, I'll just do it right away. It's not a problem for me. Do you want me to illustrate this on the whiteboard, how the charm looks like? Can we continue? Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, hold on. I'm opening my iPhone right now. Just be patient with me. Okay, it's open. And let me see if I have to stop sharing the screen. One moment. And let me. Okay, it's working. So just gonna hold it right here. I try to make this. This is, let's say this huge. This is this Jack. Okay, big strong man. And Jack wants to get a charm. Okay, this is Jack's energy field, like a sphere, because he's a man. This is his sex drive. There's a blue flame inside of him. When Jack goes to an pagan altar or does a charm, whatever, this is what happens as follows. You have fallen angels. Okay. I'm going to draw a few of those figures to show you. They two are enough. Let's have a green one over here. the fallen angels, they all generate this waste. It falls off of them. And when they were still in heaven, they would eat, they would swallow up the joy of the Lord that's emitted in heaven. We human beings, we breathe oxygen. They would breathe the joy of their Father in heaven. And while there was also their food, and once they get the joy of the Lord in their angelic shapes, they would bring out fierce light and lightning. But now in the fallen state, they just generate this toxic green waste. So the fallen angels, they smear their toxic green waste on, let's say, Jack's energy field. And because of that, external negativity is hindered. This is how a charm works. The fallen angels, they smear their toxic waste on top of your energy fields. So you're covered in demon shit, to be frank. And this has an effect that hinders negative tension. Okay? This is the cover or charm. This is the charm you have. Well, let me write it down. So a charm works. You can also charm, let's say a car. This is a car, okay? Let me draw a car very quickly. I'm not used to drawing cars, but okay. Okay, let's say this is your car, okay? You just bought the car. You want the car to be well maintained for that. Same way, you put a talisman or some crystals, some charmed crystal left in the car. You do your ritual with the car, and fallen angels, they smear this green layer on top of it that you can't see with the naked human eye. If you want a double charm, it can be a bigger layer. Because of that, physical and energetic negativity is bounced off. So your car is less likely to get into accidents. You know what I mean? There is one big side effect of this is that these layers become a hinder onto you. So there's side effects coming with it. Okay? This is how a charm works. Is this all clear to you now? Let me know in the live chat. Is this clear to you? Let me know. Charm. Demon pieces, that's what it is. All right. Okay, let me go down and stop. I'm back, y'all. My bad. But okay. Okay, someone had a question, so let me check what question is. When I put my sticks away. Someone asked, can this happen to an parent? If you have a talisman or something, well, you need a talisman or something in order to keep your charm around. All right. Okay, let me go back to the screen sharing. Okay. So that's a human waste and agriculture thing. Because if you want to get top elite charms like wizards have, you have to swim in human feces. Human feces with urine are combined and you have to swim in it as a loyalty to the demons. And It's called, in the English term, Scooby Dooing. Scooby comes from scuba diving, and do comes from doo doo, which means poop. So Scooby Doo comes from Scooby Dooing, which means swimming in feces and urine combined. It's a ritual wizards do. All right, just so you know. It's something that chief warlocks get involved in it also. But anyway, that's been going on in ancient times before the term Scooby Doo even exists. It was just an ancient thing that folks have to this day. It can happen to your home also, a truck. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And let's read further about holy gods. And have been propitiated in a wide variety of ways, including making offerings, invoking and appeasing them through prayers. Yeah, they pray to the toilet gods, meditating. They're meditating on the toilets and carrying out ritual actions, such as clearing one's throat before entering or even biting the latrine to transfer spiritual force back to the gods. Yes, they would bite the toilet. That's a ritual. And people doing that till this day. You can read further in article if you want, but let me go over here. This is a toilet deity from China. It's from the early Middle Ages. And, well, this is how the entity is portrayed. It's a daughter of some entity. So this is a Nephilim. This is a Nephilim that they're worshiping over here. Okay? They've done this since the 7th century AD. But also, ancient Rome also had their deity, Cloacina, and it was even a cult, Cloaca Maxima. Maxima means the highest or whatever, or the most exalted one. Here you see the Naris coins with the image of this goddess on it. But it even predates Rome. But the Romans even had a whole cult with festivals surrounding this entity. Yes, he had festivals to this toilet goddess. But was that the only one? No, yet another god, another entity. This one is a male entity, Crepitus. And they're using it. It was like a big legend back then. And scholars in history wrote about it also. But it's not the only one. Remember, Japan also had them. And Japan has ancient toilet gods and modern day ones. The quote unquote modern ones, because they're from the 18th century, but not really that modern, but are the Akaname. Here's written in Japanese syllable system and then Chinese characters. And these are entities or evil spirits who will lick the toilets after you've done your business. All right? Again, we have the whole worship of this entity. And it's still a god that's worshipped over there. So people say, well, Japanese people in general atheists, they don't believe in anything. I'm sorry, that's not true. I've been to Japan, and I know a fellow believer. One of my best friends, who's a Japanologist, he can tell you the Japanese are not atheistic. Okay? Hold on. So is it clear to you now that the whole toilet god thing is nothing new? That's been around all along. Is that clear to you now? Oh. Okay, so one thing about toilets in ancient times, they were often built near rivers for obvious reasons. And you often find them in hilly landscapes because it's easier for the feces to flow away in the river that way. All right. Now, now we're going to talk about another entity. By the way, you can see the source yourself. You can look them up. You have this fallen angel Bel, also called Enlil of ancient Babylon. And there are more fallen angels with similar names. You know what I mean? But this became the principal demon in ancient Babylonia. Okay? What they call the Middle East. Here they were making sacrifices to this entity. They would make this giant statue of this demon. And they would, well, they would murder children, of sometimes even babies, by burning them alive to this demon. Or by cut them to pieces, all of that, they would do such things. All right? There's excavation of an ancient temple over here. Now, I want to talk about this entity, Bel. Why? Because, again, we're talking about the history of Belgium. Belgium. And there's another demon who shares the first son Bel. His name is Belphegor. This Belphegor right over here, having long nails. Over here, this is Neptune. What's a meeting of fallen angels? And look at this. This is another toilet entity. However, they don't mention it as a toilet entity. You just call him, oh, it's a demon of sloth, laziness. No, it's a toilet entity. Look at this, even depicted in a toilet position. Well, the thing is, this entity, Belphegor, his specialty is that he gives you ideas on how to make money quickly. However, there is one big problem with getting a charm from this demon, and that is that whatever money you make, whatever finances you gain, will surely produce a lot of waste in the community quickly. Now, don't get me wrong, all finances powered by paranormal come with side effects, all of them, as already explained. But if you use this entity to get a lot of cash quicker, there will be danger as side effect on the community. So if you are a businessman, you want to start your own factory in South America, and go to this demon over here, you'll have to do the toilet rituals. I'm not going to go into details about the toilet rituals because they're quite nasty and horrible. But you do the toilet rituals, you get the charm over you charm the building also. Guess what? The factory, man, it booms. Problem is, it's going to be a lot of harm in the local community, and also on your own locals who are around you also. That's the issue we're dealing with this toilet entity over here. Nevertheless, Paris is a big hotspot where they worship this entity. That's why he was a so-called ambassador to France, because a lot of pagans worship this deity. Okay, so Paris, you have a big number of Belgian worshippers over there. And I've been to Paris myself recently, and some of those public toilets are, let me say, I can understand the public toilet can be a bit nasty, but the public toilet I visited, because I had to be, my God, it had feces everywhere. Even on the mirrors were feces. from menstrual pastoral around all something. I think what it's like on purpose. They made the whole public toilet so horrible. It was, and I'm telling you, it was an altar I entered into. And I already knew, oh, this one of these altars they made to Belfort. My God. If you have in Paris, there's certain some public toilets don't go to them because they are altars, I'm telling you. That's those all some of those rituals they do. They build toilets, but on purpose keep them extremely nasty. It is an old altar to Belfort. All right. So, but so let's continue. But okay, is this thing about Belfort clear to you? Is it clear? Let me know, please. Let me know. Is this clear? About the worship of this demon and what the danger is with doing that? If that's clear, I want to go on to the next part of the life. Okay. So you have Bel, this monster, god of the storm, so called, that they kill the babies to. And you have Belphegor, which is Thesis entity that's obsessed with human waste. And well, Paris is a big property worship, but it's not only Paris. In ancient times, you had this collection of pagans who call themselves Belga. Okay? Belga or Belge, however you want to pronounce it. There's one thing I want you to understand. And I'm an anthropologist, and I explain to you. Human beings function the best in a tribal context. So you have the kinship, which is the mom, dad, children, cousins, nephews, grandparents. That's the kinship. Then you have the extended kinship, which is the village, where everyone's almost related to one another, almost. And apart from that, you have the tribe, where similar units come together with similar values. So I'm going to use my whiteboard again. Hold on. This is something I want you to understand perfectly well. Hold on. Let me screen sharing and okay. Hold on. So you have kingship. It's let's say this is you. This is you over here. Then you have your parents, grandparents, and the closest family. Kinship is first layer. Let me do this over here. I think it's much better. Then you have extended kinship. It's like the town. The kinships belong to the village. And then apart from that, you have the tribe. Those are extended kingships with similar values. All right? Okay. This is the most effective way for human beings to organize and belong to one another. Hold on. Let me put the camera down and hold on. Let me come back. Share screen. So, understand this. A tribe can be an ethnic extension of everyone related to the same ancestor. Okay? For example, in the Bible, you have the 13 tribes of Israel. which all related to the sons of Jacob. You know what I mean? However, a tribe could also be family units with the same values. For example, let's say you have an Egyptian family that's all about hard work. And you have a Chinese family, also living deeply in hard work. Then you also have a family from, let's say, Mexico, that also live in hard work. Them coming together in a group setting, they will bond on their common value of hard work. So they become a cultural tribe. You know what I mean? You have ethnic tribes. Those are just based on your ancestry. However, you also have cultural tribes. I mean, people you actually bond to through common values. In ancient times, people would bond based on the demons they worshipped. So the Belgae, they were pagan families over this portion of Europe and also the British Isles that worshipped Bel. And also Belphegor, because there are more demons with the starts with Bel. So Belphegor and Bel, I mean the supreme god from Mesopotamia, they were worshipped by these peoples, who call themselves Belgae. And the area where they dwelt, where they made the worship of the Bel demons, the norm was called Belgica. Again now? So Belgica, which is where we get Belgium from, was the area where the pagans who worshipped the Bel demons, that means Belphegor and this demon from Mesopotamia, where they made the worship of those demons the norm. Is this clear to you? Where the term Belgian comes from? And also Belgium, also it relates to getting angry. So Belgae also has another word that relates to it. It means to get angry. Why? Because those evil spirits are not in a good mood. Okay? Of course not. So Julius Caesar, instead of saying Belgica, he would say Belgium. Okay? So Belphegor, as well as this Bel demon from Mesopotamia, they were worshipped by the Belgae. So the Belgae were not an ethnic group of people with the same ancestry. No, a big portion had the same ancestry. That's were Germanic and Celtic tribes, but it was a confederation. Okay, so the term Belgium or Belgica fell out of use later on during the Roman Empire. They only had a province, they kept calling like that, Gallia Belgica. But eventually, after the fall of Western Roman Empire, kind of fell out of use. Then you have the Middle Ages with the Frankish Empire, the Holy Roman Empire, all that. I'm not going to all of that. Just important to know that eventually the area that we today call the Netherlands and Belgium and Luxembourg were called the Lowlands. One thing is the south, we have the northern lowlands and the southern lowlands. Netherlands means low country, country that's low, with a low surface. Because the Netherlands, let me show over here, most of this was a swamp landscape and it was quite flat, some even below sea level. Here it became a bit higher, but this whole area over here, including this part of France, was called the Lowlands or Netherlands. So Netherlands during the Middle Ages was not a country, but a term used for this area over here. Okay? And it was symbolized as a lion on its map from the 17th century. All right. That's why this shape of the Netherlands is supposed to be the head of the lion. This is supposed to be one of its pawns over here. As you see over here. Then this should be one of the feet, and this should be the rear of the lion. This is what it's supposed to symbolize. A symbolic thing they make of the area. Now, for the most part of the Middle Ages, the Lowlands or Netherlands, that region, was governed by Catholic priests. Starting from the bishops of Burgundy, which was a place in France, and eventually you had this royal household from Austria taking over, the Habsburgers, and eventually it was on the Spanish administration for a little while, and then it set when the northern part of the Netherlands separated as the Dutch Republic. That's when Netherlands was founded as a country. The southern part of it, the southern Netherlands, became the Austrian Netherlands. Okay, and we're going to talk about the Austrian Netherlands over here. Okay. So the southern part was governed by Spain still. The northern part revolted as the Dutch Republic. And the southern part was still Spanish Netherlands, but it became Austrian Netherlands, which was governed from Austria. And let's look at this map very quickly. I need to enlarge it. As you can see, the borders were quite a mess in the Middle Ages and afterwards, till the 19th century. Okay. The green over here was the area governed by the Habsburg family. Okay, and it also included this portion over here, the Austrian Netherlands. And the Holy Roman Empire was this messed up union over here that never functioned well. And the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire was also the one governing the Habsburg territories, because he was an Habsburger himself. So there was an emperor who backed any power that had delegates governing this area. Okay, and remember, the northern part became the Dutch Republic. Even though they had the Prince of Orange on top of it, really weird. And the Dutch Republic had the colonial empire. And if the Dutch Republic came up with anti-black racism worldwide, I'll explain it in another live stream. So that means that the Austrian Netherlands, they were kind of suppressed in trade because they had to sail through Dutch territory, or they had to use a small port of Ostend over here for trade, which wasn't such a big port to begin with. But okay, at some point, the people here that were kind of upset, and they revolted against the Austrian rule because the Austrians just Germans, called by a different name. Okay, they're of German ethnicity, but called by a different name. Okay, they were more focused on fighting with the Turkish Empire or the Ottoman Empire over here, at the expense of the Austrian Netherlands. So eventually, the people of the Austrian Netherlands had enough, and some of their leading figures decided, we're going to rebel and become our own country, and that became the United Belgian States. However, this United Belgian States only lasted for just a few months. Okay? It only functioned for a few months. It was a confederate republic, so it wasn't unified. And as you can see, nobody in the world recognized it. Nobody wanted anything to do with this country that it was decreed out of nowhere. Okay? And they were voting against this guy, Joseph, ran the Holy Roman Empire, whatever mess that thing was. But what happened after this whole failed revolt? Well, hold on. Let me go downstairs because I want to show you something. Okay, there was the Belgian Revolution that I talked about. But here's the thing. After this revolt, the French took over. After the French riots, again known as French Revolution. And when they took over, France took over also Netherlands, they made it part of France. And here's where it gets wrong. The French would heavy taxes on the population. And despite the fact that most of the people there were Roman Catholic, the French suppressed the church. Because the French came with the idea of equal rights for every religion, which was not a common term back then. Okay? And here's how it worked. The Austrian Netherlands used to be, it used to operate in feudalism. So you had the Catholic priests and the bishops who had most of the money and most of the leverage in the community. They had the rich Catholics that bought around the common population, which mostly were farmers. When the revolutionary France took over, they abolished the leverage of those rich Catholics, which is something the people were not happy about. And also the church were plundered. They closed one of the universities, and they actually shut down the whole economy. And nobody was allowed to speak Dutch anymore. They had to speak French. And many of the Dutch-speaking population fled to the north, to the Dutch Republic, back that later became the Batavian Republic. Because the French wanted one nation, one language. So all the people there were not considered French people. They only had to speak French. Any other language was suppressed. And by the way, throughout the history of France, until the French Revolution, most of the people in the territory couldn't even master French that well. It was only the top elite and the rich that spoke French so fluently. Most people spoke regional languages. But now they want to make French the dominant language of them all. So they annexed the Austrian Netherlands, and everyone had to become French because it was no Austrian Netherlands anymore. So the thing is, the French shut down the leverage of the rich Catholics. They caused a big portion of the Dutch population to flee. And what they did was they made sure that all the exports went to Paris and other French cities. So the French military was the one that had to call the shots. So the economy was a military administered economy. And after 1815, when Napoleon was defeated, what used to be the Austrian Netherlands became part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Look at this. After Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo in 1815, the major victorious powers, Britain, Austria, Prussia, and Russia, agreed at the Congress of Vienna on uniting the former Austrian Netherlands and the former 7 United Provinces, creating the Kingdom of the Netherlands. United is a term that later historians use to differentiate the current Kingdom of the Netherlands that still exists and the previous one. It also served as a buffer state against any future French invasions. It was under the rule of a Protestant King William I. Most of the small ecclesial states in the Holy Roman Empire were given larger states at this time. And this included the Principality of Liege, Okay. So this is what you need to understand here. When you go to this map over here, when you look at this over here, you have many, many small, tiny countries here and there. All of those were abolished and became part of either France or became part of another kingdom over there. This was not a people's movement. It was a Masonic, pre-Masonic decision made by Russia, Prussia, Britain, Spain, and the others. So when you think about nationhood and countries, 9 out of 10 times it's based on financial profit, not on what the public wants. And what the public wants is often manipulated through the media and it's often used as an excuse. Okay, because this over here was financially exhausted for the whole continent. So they abolished this. And they decided all these tiny countries over here have become part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And here you can see after the Batavian Revolt, this was the Netherlands back then. They had the Kingdom of Holland under Luigi, one of Napoleon's younger brothers. Then, briefly, the Netherlands was a French department, and this in 1815 became the Netherlands. The Luxembourg became a Grand Duchy, very big up down here. You have the Duchy of Limburg over here too, and the rest became just provinces, Dutch provinces. And he had two capitals, The Hague and Brussels. Now, why am I going to this history? Understand this. The Austrian Netherlands, let's call it that for now, it was deprived from much of its history. Yes, yet entrepreneurs there, people doing trade, but were often suppressed both by the Dutch Republic in the north, as well as by France and Britain and everyone else. And their independence in 1790 wasn't even supported that much by not even the local population. That's why it failed so quickly. The French took over and shut everything down. I mean, everything only profit France, who went through a financial crisis. So 1815, they became part of the Netherlands as a whole, as a kingdom. And I want you to see the following over here. Hold on. It's a map in 1816. It's in Dutch. You can see over here. And if you look at big maps today, the shapes are quite the same. Even the local provinces are similar. But let's go back to this. Remember, the Austrian Netherlands landscape over here, here becomes mountains. You have this river over here that flows all the way to the sea. You have this river over here flowing over there. You have tiny rivers going over here. Antwerp and Ostend were the main ports they had for export, for trade. But that would mean that farmers over here in Hennepin, or Luik, or Liège, for the France, Namur, in Dutch Namen, all of those farmers would have to transport all their goods, and you had no trains back then, you had no buses, you had no airplanes, none of that. You had to transport it by road all the way over here, which may have taken a week or sometimes even 2 weeks, then export it. Okay, so that would be at this. So these two ports would only be advantages for the people living close over here. People over here would be highly dependent on those here on the shores. Okay, unless you want to be further exported by France. Luxembourg was unfortunately completely landlocked, but it was part of the realm of the Netherlands now, so that was an advantage. If you look over here, all these ports over here were directly at sea, And to transport, let's say, from all the way here from the east or from Limburg all the way to the shores over there will be much quicker. So geographically speaking, most of the cities and towns down here were at economic and financial disadvantage. But here's the thing. In 1815, when this was established, the South had the majority of the population. Some historians estimate around 60% of the population of the Netherlands back then lived in the South over here. So you had a high population over here, and there were a lot of investments from the Dutch government going to the Antwerp, the other ports over here, and also in the infrastructure, because everything had to be connected very well to all the other ports over here, because this was one country. Okay, so everything had to be well connected to all the ports, so they would function as one unit. And despite that, and another side, also besides that, the Dutch also had overseas territories. For example, Suriname, because the Dutch had to concede Guyana over here. Suriname, you had Curaçao over here, Aruba, Bonaire, you had a few islands, 2 islands over there. And you also had in what they call Indonesia, Dutch East Indies. So, think about it. Let me go back. Those who lived in the south on the rule of Spain and Austria, they were kind of, how to say, you say what it's neglected. Yeah, they had to depend on their own. And administration was weak also. When the French took over in the late 18th century, my goodness, they shut everything down and exploited everyone. So now them being part of this empire over here, they had easier access to the North Sea. I mean, people down here, where the majority of people lived, they could trade easily with Scandinavia, with Russia, and this part of Europe also, and the other German ports over here. They could easily also trade with. Why is this happening? They will also trade with China through the Dutch East Indies, with Japan and all of that, because Japan was closed, was no informal trade happening. And you could also trade with the new capital nations that developed in Latin America, built in the independence from Spain. So, let me go back. The people here in the South, their situation improved by being part of this new country over here, which was a world empire back then. Back then, you had the British Empire as number one, and the second empire in the world when it comes to finance and economics was the Dutch Empire. So the Austrian Netherlands, there in the south, went from a neglected provinces to an exploited territory by France to being part of the second empire in the world. Now you may think that people would be happy with this and make the best of it. Do you think that happened? No, it didn't happen. Because very quickly, there were arguments developing. Okay? So let's go over here. Yeah, people get the issues with William I because he was a Calvinist, and Calvinists have this very hard work ethic. Now, the Catholics also have hard work ethic, but their hard work ethic was more community based, while the Calvinist work ethic was more individually based. So that was a bit of a difference. Okay, William I was a Calvinist and intolerant of the Roman Catholic majority in the southern parts of his newly created kingdom. He promulgated the fundamental law of Holland with some modifications. This entirely overthrew the old order of things in the southern Netherlands, suppressed the clergy as an order, abolished the privileges of the Roman Catholic Church, and granted equal protection to every religious creed and enjoyed the same civil and political rights of every subject of the king. He reflected the spirit of the French Revolution, and doing so did not least the bishops in the south, who detested the revolution. So the Catholic elite in the South, who were also plundered by the revolutionary government of France, they thought, okay, now we're part of the Netherlands, we're going to get our privilege back and be dominant again. Oh, and don't forget about it, us now being dominant again with all this money and the majority of the population living in the South, we will dominate the Protestant North too, and we'll be the ones deciding over all the ports and how everything goes. And we'll be deciding also over those territories in Dutch East Indies, which is in Indonesia, also in America, those islands over there. So, well, let me go back over here. The Catholic rich in the South thought, hey, France is defeated finally, we're not part of the Netherlands, so we can finally become dominant again. This time we're dominant over an empire. But here's the thing, the Dutch king made reforms in which much of the financial dominance of the Catholic rich in the South was suppressed, and all religions were treated equal. And for every subject in the kingdom had similar access to the provisions of the kingdom. Now, of course, there were social clauses, but you get what I mean. So the rich Catholics in the South were not happy with the reforms of William I to make sure that it wouldn't be the South dominating everything, but the financial leverage was spread all over the country, which is reasonable. You know what I mean? But okay, let's continue. Okay, William I actually promoted economic modernization. Okay, so let's go on and on and on. The government was now fundamentally unitary and all authority flowed from the center. The first 15 years of Guinea showed progress and prosperity as industrialization proceeded rapidly in the south, where the Industrial Revolution allowed entrepreneurs and labor to combine with the new textile industry, followed by local coal mines. So that we call coal mines in the south, the textile industry, and under Dutch rule, remember the French totally exploited everything. So the rich Catholics who had some of their wealth left would now prosper under Dutch rule. However, there was little industry in the northern provinces, but most of the former Dutch overseas colonies were restored and highly profitable trade resumed after a 25-year hiatus. So the south over here, let's go back, prospered. People getting wealthier over there because of the trade through the colonies also. It was going well. Okay. But let's continue. Economic liberalism combined with moderate monarchical authoritarianism to accelerate the adaptation of the Netherlands to the new condition of the 19th century. The country prospered until a crisis bore across its relations with the southern provinces. So, in short, despite the fact that the South, now for the first time in human history, became economically relevant worldwide, by being part of the Dutch Empire, they were not a colony, they were full provinces, they were full Dutch people with Dutch citizenship. But despite them prospering like that, they were not happy. Here's the thing. Protestants controlled the new country, although they formed only a quarter of the population. In theory, Roman Catholics had full legal equality. In practice, the voice was not heard. Now, this is a contradiction right over here. If only a quarter of the population is Protestant, and 3/4 of the overall majority, that's like 75% of the country is Roman Catholic. And the South is mainly Roman Catholic. And the Roman Catholic rich down there also prospered a lot. How come is the, let's go to the top again. How come then that the Protestants in the North, which were not industrializing that much, which are quite lagging behind, how come they now were deciding everything? If much of the money was made in the South, and the money was made because the empire, because the country had colonies in Asia and the Americas, how come then that most of the decisions were made by the Protestants, even though everyone was equal according to the law? If you were a businessman from the South or a businessman only from the North here, you could vote get finance, and do business as a Dutchman overseas. So there's a contradiction right over here. Few held high state or military offices. The school king insists that schools in the south and the traditional teach of Roman Catholic doctrine, even though almost everyone there was of the faith. Socially, the French-speaking Walloons strongly resented the king's proposal to make Dutch the language of the government. Well, is the Netherlands. Wait, by the way, French was still the second language almost every country went on because of diplomacy. So what were they complaining about? English was not even that dominant yet in the world. They had grievances against the king. They didn't feel represented very well. They thought we have the majority of the population living over here, so we should have more representation in the government. But the king said no, each province must be equally represented as a balance. But then in 1830, there was a revolt in France in July. And around the time, there was this theater play that happened in August, means a month afterwards. And afterwards, people went out on the streets rioting in Brussels. And from there, you had what they call the Belgian Revolution that came out. However, this was not condoned by the rest of the world, but still they showed sympathy to some people revolting. So why would they show sympathy? Well, let's look further. There was this French ambassador in Britain, and he said the following about those rebels in Brussels who wanted their own country. Mr. Talleyrand said, "It is not a nation. 200 protocols will never make it a nation." And he also said, "No Belgian is possible. Therefore, the choice will inevitably lead to partition." And he wasn't the only one. Okay? And there was also a plan when the revolts began in 1830. It was developed in London, where nobody really thought that any country out there would even work. They wanted France to take the majority, give the rest to Prussia. It was a German kingdom, and you would have a free Dutch state over here protected by Britain. That was the official plan. And there was one prince of France that was requested to become the new king of this new country. He declined. And there were more princes declining also. And also, the Prussians did not want a new country in the southern Netherlands also. So let's go through it again very quickly. You had the south, it was called the Austrian Netherlands for a big portion. Out of history, they were kind of neglected. The French came and shut things down, plunged them. They became part of the Netherlands and they prospered. They boomed, things went better. And they had the financial leverage in the Dutch Empire. Why didn't they just use their financial leverage to shape things their way? Why bitch and complain? Well, here it comes. It took 9 years, which included a lot of riots, before you had, from this proposal, you had this. Okay, let me do this. The current Kingdom of Belgium. 1839, this became a reality. Okay? So for 9 long years, people did not want to admit nor recognize this country, because nobody even believed this country could work. Okay? And let's look at it again, folks. Okay? Let's even get satellite view over here. Hold on. This Bing Maps. I don't know how Bing Maps works over here. Hold on. Okay, finally, I got it. Unfortunately, there are no lines anymore, but okay. Actually, over here, there's a lot of. In the past, you didn't have this. These are two artificial islands that the Dutch government built in the 20th century by throwing sand in the sea over here. Because as you go over here, it does not exist, as you can see. It clearly did not. So let's go over here. All these cities over here had close access to sea, so they had an advantage. The only cities with an advantage in the south were Ostend, over here, and Antwerp. And that's what most of the economy was booming. All the other rich Catholics down here relied on Ostend and Antwerp. And they were part of the Dutch Empire that ran this over Indonesia. So with this, those rich Catholics would have a dominant say worldwide over Asia also through this colony. They also had some leverage over the new Catholic republics in Spanish America. Nobody in their right mind want to give up such a position. The Dutch Empire was the second empire in the world. The second country with power in the world was the Netherlands. The first was Britain, then Netherlands. The Spanish Empire crashed. So the Spanish Empire, man, it was crashing. It was first Britain, then the Netherlands. Why would you, having this financial leverage in this empire, is the second in the world, with such strategic possession overseas, why would you want to separate and become? Okay, let me go back. Or you do a hybrid one, okay, and become like this. Think about this. When this border was drawn in 1839, yet Luxembourg been split into the west of Luxembourg, which contained the forest areas, went to Belgium. The Duchy of Limburg, that you can also see over here. This was a sub-country. The King of Netherlands was the Duke of Limburg and Grand Duke of Luxembourg. So the towns near the river have advantage financially, economically. So what happened was the poorest part of the Duchy of Limburg was given to the elite, to the club in Brussels, and the poorest part of Luxembourg. So they ended up with only two ports, of which one was still dominated by the Netherlands, because to go to this port, you had to go through Dutch territory. So they were still dominated by the Netherlands when it comes to export, because they had to travel to the Netherlands. And they only had this small port over here, which wasn't big enough to keep this whole area going. So all this area over here benefited from having access to all these ports over here. Now everyone was spent on Ostend. They want to avoid Dutch influence. So this was a big financial and economic loss. And there were families, Limburgian families were separated by this. Let's say you have an uncle that lived over here, and you live all the way up here, Roermond. Now, first, a year ago, you were both Dutchmen. Now, you're a Dutchman, he's Belgian. So now you need to cross a border. Now there are border checks. So families were separated. That caused a trauma. Also in Luxembourg, there were traumas happening, families being separated and all. So this whole separation caused a lot of public trauma. And guess what? They had no empire. Listen, if you were born over here in the south of Brabant, and you were an entrepreneur and you wanted to trade with China, guess what? You were a Dutchman. You could easily arrange something through business people from Rotterdam or The Hague to have some export or whatever happening in Indonesia. By the way, if you were from the south, you even had the right to just travel to Indonesia and set up over there, start your own farm, whatever. After 1839, suddenly, no, you can't do it anymore. So you had this new country without any overseas territories. People barely want to recognize it, and the population came forward. Remember, people were booming. Oh, the public was booming over here. People were becoming prosperous. Suddenly, prosperity was halted. Only the rich Catholics kept their leverage. The rest of the population, they lost it. And there were a lot of Protestants living there also. They converted to Protestantism because a lot of them keep dependent on the Catholic Church. So who won with the establishment of this country? The rich Catholics did. Who lost over there? The common population. And by the way, even after 1839, there were movements in the new Kingdom of Belgium to go back to the Netherlands. There was an Orange movement. There was a press later on in the 19th century. And to make it, and a lot of the population down there were upset, especially the Dutch population saying, hey, you separate us from the Netherlands, but now we have not looked at the Netherlands. The Netherlands still has an empire. What do we have? And that's where you had this guy coming up. Oh, by the way, they found a prince, a German prince, who wanted to become king of Belgium. Because nobody else wanted to become king of the country. They had this king of Belgium, Leopold II, who started this colony called the Congo Free States, and led to a genocide of the Congolese population down there. But also mutilating other people. And when all the crimes came out, the Belgian authorities began to burn all the archives in Belgium to hide all the evidence. Some of the evidence survived, but it was a brutal regime. So let me get it straight. People in the South went from being part of this, that also contains islands in the Caribbean, Suriname in South America, which was rich in natural resources, and Indonesia, given leverage over Asia. We went from that to only having this in Africa filled with human rights violations. Whoa. And now you also have groups in the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium want to separate from Belgium altogether, become their own country, join the Netherlands again. And you have in Wallonia, which is the southern part, where they speak French, want to join France. So the thing is, who came up with this? You know what I mean? Who came up with this? As we can clearly see, it wasn't the common public that came up with this. The common public may had some issues with the government in The Hague, but this thing, France was also part of, also was a capital. The thing is, I already explained to you, Belgae was a region where the pagans enforced the worship of the Bel deities, including Belphegor, this toilet entity. And remember what I told you about Belphegor over here. When you worship this entity and get a tremendous entity, you can make money, you can increase your finances swiftly, but it's going to be damage on the population. So you get a lot of cash, the population around you gets damage, and eventually will catch up with you. That's how it works when you worship this Belphegor being, this toilet entity. And guess what? That is what happened over here. Yet these Belphegor worshippers who used Roman Catholicism as a cover-up, the moment they were jealous of the rest of the population also getting wealthy. Because listen, if the population is poor and you guys are the only ones with cash, you guys are dominant. If you guys are dominant, and suddenly the population also gets wealthier, guess what? You lose your dominance. You decrease the financial relevancy. So the Belphegor worshippers in the south want to keep the relevancy of the masses, but they couldn't keep it over all of the Netherlands, especially over the overseas territories. So they sacrificed the well-being of the whole population by impoverishing the population with this separation, and they kept the richest at the expense of the public. And the new country was established, was trusted by everyone. And you may ask, why did they eventually recognize this country? Not only because the fights that were going on in the gangs in the streets were fighting, it was getting out of hand, but also because there's another thing to think about. I want to show you things from this is a modern day article. It's from 2015, and Belgium is called a failed state. People in Belgium are not happy with this. But another thing from 2016 said Belgium not a failed state but a troubled one. And let me see. And there are conspiracy theories online in Belgium, the real country, an artificial state, and all of that. It's a real country, I've been there, okay? But why is this thing of calling Belgium a failure? Also in Dutch culture, because I grew up in the Netherlands, there are many dirty jokes about Belgians, people in the south. Let me tell you why there's so many dirty jokes about Belgian people in Dutch culture. It's because the name Belgium refers to the Bel entities, including Belfagor, which is a toilet thing. And the worshippers of Belfagor do toilet rituals to get money at the expense of population. So the whole name Belgium itself is kind of an abomination. So a lot of people in the Netherlands, they know the real history of Belgium, and that's why they make jokes about it, because they're not willing to openly talk about it like I do right now. So this is why in 1839, eventually, the rest of the world recognized this country. Why? They knew this new country would have a lot of financial difficulties. They knew that the Dutch-speaking and French-speaking would never really unite and form a nation. They knew there's going to be troubles all over the place, but guess what? By having this country on your continent, that is Europe, that's a disappointment and a failure. Everyone else in the world will look at Europe and see Belgium as a failure and as a disappointment. They will say, at least we're not like Belgium. So if you lived in, let's say, Denmark, and you were not happy with how things went in Denmark, you would always look around Europe and say, "Oh, at least I'm glad we're not like Belgium." So Belgium became the operation to give narcissistic supply of narcissistic relief to the rest of Europeans. Because remember, the 19th century, there were a lot of changes happening. Railways being built, and to build railways, some farmers had to lose land, so there was a lot of public dissatisfaction going on all over Europe. If there's so much public dissatisfaction going on over Europe, how do you calm the public down? By giving someone to look down upon. And Belgium became this country looked down upon. Belgium became the failure and disappointments they needed to keep the public in Europe at ease. It didn't fully work because in 1848 was a big revolt over Europe. But then King William II of the Netherlands came with liberal reforms that others were inspired by, and it got things now. So Belgium was tolerated to exist by the other European powers just as a wrong example to ease down their own population. They all want to keep their own populations at ease, and the best way to do that is give them a worse example to go. Until this day, you have this cultural obsession with viewing Belgium as a failure. Even with Belgian people talking like that about their own country. Now, first thing first, let me explain this. If you're born in this area of the Kingdom of Belgium, you're a human being born under such circumstances. You are not automatically a worshiper of Belfagor, nor the other entity. You're not automatically involved in the feces rituals that the leader are doing. No, you're not. So I'm not saying that I'm not giving this teaching to look down on Belgian people, or to look on the people in Belgium. There's no such thing as the Belgian people, just people living there, because it's not an actual nation. It's just a country established as narcissistic supply to the rest of Europe. I know people from Belgium that are good people of good quality. I know believers from Belgium who are powerful believers. So just because your country may have a horrible origin doesn't mean that you have to be horrible. Okay? But I would not recommend you to associate the term Belgian with you. I wouldn't call yourself a Belgian. I wouldn't do that. But if you want to do that because you're born there, it's on your passport, it's up to you. But I wouldn't do that because the name relates to the worship of toilets. That's what it is. And that's why Belgium is designed to have a bad reputation like that. Okay, this was a lot for you to take in. But is it clear to you now why Belgium has this chronic bad reputation? Is it clear to you now? Let me know in the live chat. Let me close the screen sharing. Is it clear to you now why Belgium has a chronic bad reputation worldwide? Is it clear now? Look, if you're from Belgium, listen, the history of that country is not your fault, and you're not to blame for it. And that bad reputation of Belgium also affects you, carrying the Belgian passport or being from the area. It does affect you. Let's keep it to it. But you don't have to feel victimized by it, okay? Overrule it. There has been people born in this country, Belgium, in history after its establishment, that prospered in life, being powerful believers, and so can you. Okay? But just know the country exists to give narcissistic relief to the rest of Europe. The country is meant to be a disappointment. This is what it's meant to be. I don't agree with establishing a country just to give narcissistic relief to other people. I don't agree with that. Absolutely not. However, that's what has been done. Okay. Wait, by the way, I've been to Belgium a few times. I just was there on my birthday, and I went to Ostend and Ghent also. Okay, hold on. Let me share the screen again. These are images from my Instagram highlights that I made in Ostend here. The monument over there. Here, Ostend. There's a pier over there. The sail ship entering in over there. And that's a Belgian flag also. I had a good time, a good birthday in Frankfurt, Ghent, and Ostend. We ate at a nice restaurant also. People were kind and polite over there. I spoke a blessing over that restaurant also after we left. So again, the origins of your country does not have to define your quality as a human being. But you have to be aware that origins and establishment does affect you. Just overrule the effects. So now you understand if you're from Belgium, why certain things may be so chronically dysfunctional down there. Now you know why. So what do you do about it? As I told before, the world established that country to give narcissistic supply to the rest of Europeans. Because I just showed you the history of the country and I went through it with you. There's no financial, economical, not even a social, cultural sense in establishing this country, impoverishing the people down there, separating them from families, separating them from all their life opportunities. Many people in the South lost opportunities in life because of sudden separation. A lot of people lost opportunities in life because suddenly they were contained in this country called Belgium, and other countries had difficult time recognizing they had kind of a bit of attitude towards it. So first were Dutch people with Dutch citizenship, and the Netherlands had a firm reputation, and now they were part of this country with a bad reputation. So first were Dutch people with a good reputation, that doors were open for them because of that. Now they were part of this failed disappointment of Belgium, and doors were kind of being closed for them. Of course, there's still people from Belgium succeeding in life internationally, but it wasn't in there. You need to learn to overrule these things. The world will do what the world is doing, but you don't have to be victimized by what the world is doing, but just overruling it. All right? By the way, are there people from Belgium watching this live stream now? Maybe they're not, but I'm just asking for sure. Are there people from Belgium watching this live stream right now? Let me know in the live chat. If you're from Belgium, I hope this live stream clarified a lot of things to you and motivated you on what to do about the situation. So again, listen. This history does not mean that everyone born in territory is automatically of lower quality. Absolutely not. The country may be of lower quality because of the foundation of that. But look, I know quality people from Belgium, powerful believers also, and I've been there also several times. And I have to say, some places in Belgium have less demonic activity than the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, you walk to almost any city, you're overwhelmed by demonic activity. You go to Belgium, some places barely have demons walking around. It's pretty surprising. Kent and also then barely have demonic infestation, barely. Of course, there are evil spirits down there too, but you would barely see demons around down there. So that really surprised me. So again, know the history of your country and of the places that shaped you. Also learn to overrule if the influence was not Christ-centered. Simple as that. Okay. Are there any questions about this topic? Let me know the live chat. Are there any questions? Okay, there's maybe a lot for a lot of you taking, especially if you're from Belgium. Right? If you're watching this live stream later on in history, the replay, and you have some questions, you can just put it in the comment section. So just know, countries in the world aren't just established because people are upset. The countries often are established for financial gain and financial exploitation. And the quote unquote Kingdom of Belgium is a good example of that. And I'm not going to sugarcoat for anyone. I'm an anthropologist and sociologist. I deal with facts over here. If facts are painful, I will be sugarcoating the way I deliver it. I won't be sugarcoating the facts themselves. Amen. Anyway, I didn't get any questions. Thank you all for being here. Keep agreeing with Christ, and I'll see you next live stream. Shalom.